the man with the song and the story, Steve Bonham.
The way I write songs and the stuff I do comes out of that experience of being on the road. You know, I was never good at writing songs in an attic, principally because I didn't have an attic to write songs in. But to me, being out there and meeting people and the extraordinary, ordinary people we bump into in our lives and the conversations that we get into is just the greatest way of writing songs and writing books and all the stuff I've been privileged to do. And this next song really does come out of that experience, because it's possibly the most surreal experience of my entire life. It's a dirty, thirsty, cracked up street with a Coke sign over the bar, where a watermelon man sells sunshine gold in remains of the old bazaar. And the gap-toothed fella and the cat with one eye keep a watch on things as they pass, under a tamarind tree by the old village well, drinking sweet tea from the grass. There's a California girl who's been a long time on the road, with an email from her mother and a letter from her brother saying, we're so sorry that you've gone. Dirty, thirsty, cracked up street with a Coke sign over the bar, where a watermelon man sells sunshine gold in the remains of the old bazaar. Built their world from wood and straw and mud from the riverbed, but the California girl is more concerned about things going on in her head. Journey in the bottle who granched her through his and sailed her over the sea, to the tamarind tree by the old village well and some sunburned geography. The California girl's playing in hotel songs. She's some to confess, will say life's a mess, but nothing seems to fit or rhyme. Built their world from wood and straw and a run from the riverbed, but the California girl is more concerned about the things going on in her head. Little lad encircles her, is from this place she's born. It would be the sweetest thing to wake with her at dawn, riding on the road that never ends, riding on the road that never ends. Later under the tree of night, as the stars sunset van, running from an eastern light in the wake of a caravan. Somewhere in the inky dark, prairie dog he makes his move. He's just a punk on fire with someone left to prove. Jimmy's curse, she sometimes sings, keep looking for the grail. There's dollars in her old blue jeans, her freedom kind of frail. They flew across the universe, two birds who won't get caught. He might be the rocket man, she's the astronaut, riding on the road that never ends, riding on the road that never ends. We're riding on the road that never ends, riding on the road that never ends. Thank you very much. These things are really dangerous. Do you know, in the world of health warnings, why isn't there a special subsection of the Health and Safety Act about harmonicas, or harmonicas stands? Am I the only person that... That's the one, I can't see anybody. I'm busy. I am there. How unusual. I'm in London. Oh no, I'm over there. Two, that's better. That's truth. That's truth. Yeah. I sometimes joke about why I travel, but actually I think travelling through the southern states of America might have been the biggest experience of my life in many ways. It really is like being in some sort of tele-transport when you find yourself in the Old Testament. So you're travelling along the road, and I remember that billboard. You know that film? What's it called? Billboard over Ebbing, or yeah, Billboard. What's it called? Yeah. That's one, yeah. It's not an exaggeration. I was driving along one day, when we finished the walk, I was driving back to Nashville, and there was a big sign, and it said, automatic and semi-automatic guns for hire, day, week and weekend rates. The next one said, cremations with confidence. And the next one said, sorry about this, for those of you with a nervous disposition, the next one said, Catholic sex shop. Exit early. Whatever it is, that place is it's a really tough place. It's a really tough place. On the trek, I'll read you a bit of a poem actually. I set off with my companion, and we were 8 days walking through the forest. We hadn't seen anyone or anything, and we were carrying all our own food. And all of a sudden, in the middle of nowhere, we came across a cemetery. And the graves were still tended. People had actually obviously come out there and looked after them and left plastic flowers on them. But there'd been a hurricane the previous week, and so they were blown all over the place. And the entire, can you have the contents of a cemetery? I don't know, graveyard, I don't know the contents. Anyway, there's basically 3 families there. And I just suddenly thought how tough it must have been, you know, for the settlers when they first came here and they lived up in the woods. You had nowhere else to go but look after yourself. And I think when you think about America, that part of their culture is still very much there. On this place, on the hill where the old settlers lie, they have built a wooden chapel open to the world on all 4 sides, so that the wind can brush away the dust and the nails. It stands in the wilderness on a sharp, pebbled floor, where rough, worn pews, once red and green, but still humble, are shaded from the remorseful sun. And someone had placed plastic flowers on each and every grave that lay around, an act of memory or remembrance or regard. For whatever the sin, the error or the folly, the truth lingered here amongst the smell of the pine, in the illusions of light and the ebbing of the morn. Laid low by the storm, we righted these wreaths, honouring the time-worn epitaphs to whole families who lie named and unnamed, as in life, in their place and together. In the wilderness, small churches stand, narrow and belligerent, the final homestead and witness to the Pattersons, the infant Millsop, and Old Man Dyer. Walking down the shore, your hands upon your hips, this old day feels good. Time as a cloud that danced upon a breeze, then slipped away like echoes of some forgotten prayer that we once knew. I said we should fly right now, laughed at me and said don't be absurd. This moment's all that matters now, drink it in and talk of humming birds. As this day went round and round, and the shadows spun among the trees, and the secret signs between us two. And in a seaside town, saw fishing boats upon the sand, and herring gulls, souvenirs. I said we should fly right now, laughed at me and said don't be absurd. This moment's all that matters now, drink it in and talk of humming birds. Talk of humming birds. And later that same day, in the holy place between cliff and sea, we lit a fire, drank some beers, and swam into the dark. Saw silhouettes of cormorants like twilight ghosts flying home. I said we should fly right now, laughed at me and said don't be absurd. This moment's all that matters now. Drink it in and talk of humming birds. Talk of humming birds. Talk of humming birds. It was a kingfisher morn. A low mist, the lingering breath of a summer's night, hung like a ragged eiderdown upon dark waters, before evaporating at the new day's calling, leaving the canal dappled in the shimmering light falling through willow. As Emmeline, steady and measured and awake, moved to the call of heavy horses whose flickering feathered remembrance lingered in the hedgerows and ducked under the swing bridge from field to cow. A kingfisher morn, a dominion of sorts, where the Capdockin and Flabberdock, the names of old England as much as the church on the hill and the site of the mill, stand rhubarb proud at the border, a raggle-taggle audience to the sublime. And in the sour green depths of the loch, whose outstretched arms wait for the fisher king, the luscious waters ooze that all may be healed and transported. These are the Hudson Days in the unreliable summer of the damselfly flitting in ultramarine, the fluttering of brief romance, dandling in the air amongst the white dog rose and the azure flax, and fussy moorhens and scolding mute swans, when around us the fields of Oxfordshire, unbound and close to paradise, rose expectant and ruddy into a time of exuberant flourishing, flush with the joy of sunlight, an anthem for the vanishing king. Thank you. Sally and Blue Flames there, flirting with the guys and singing them bad old songs. All went wrong, I take myself way back there, through the rough swing doors where they spit on the floor. Keep your boots on your bed, make a pillow for your head, then she takes you dancing to the rhythm of the long and lonesome night. The rhythm of the lonesome night. Deep in the canyon, where the bones of the old ones lie, where the fire river flows and the moonshine calls a name. Up in the air, the old crow sees it all. He's a mean old bird who's forgotten every word. The promises I broke, which all went up in smoke when I took the chance of running way out across the borderline. Way out across the borderline. I'd heard this story of this lady called Paula Angel, and it's a very strange story. Las Vegas is in New Mexico, is the end of the Santa Fe Trail, and she was the first woman to be hung in New Mexico. Good topic for a ballad if you were into the folk music. Hung women are particularly up there with whales and dodgy practices and sailors. Anyway, so the more I discovered about her, the odder it got. And she'd had an affair with one of the soldiers at Fort Union, and being a young girl, he was an officer, and called Miguel Martin. And she said to him, "Let's run away together." And he said, "Could be difficult, I've got 5 children." Whereupon, what would you do? She took a dagger, which she conveniently had with her at the time, and stabbed him to death. Pretty straightforward case, actually. However, that is a crime of passion, and you don't get arraigned in America for, that's not first degree murder, which she was. So, and then this judge, Benedict, sentenced her to death and allowed her to appeal, but set the appeal date after her hanging, which is not convenient. And so they hung her, but then they got it incredibly wrong, because they hung her twice because they forgot. This is a terrible story. You'll need a drink afterwards, I'm telling you now. So they yeah, it's a really weird story. Anyway, they hung her. The first time they tried to hang her, they had tied her hands, so she was obviously trying to save herself. And then the crowd said, "Well, she's been hung." And then that could only happen in America. The crowd got in some legal argument with each other about whether being hung was the same as being hung dead. And in the end, they decided she hadn't been hung properly, so they did it again, and she died. Well, you would. And then I wrote the song. It takes a little while, and tells the story.
Soldier brave, Miguel Martin was his name. Soldier in a uniform, with the ladies he found fame. They say she was an angel fair, but one who fell so low. Each night as the sun went down, to the old creek they would go. She loved him true, she loved him well, all through the summer's night, till they heard the bugle call and day began to light. And one day she said, "Will you fly with me to a land so far away?" He kissed her on her lovely hair, told her he would stay. Just Jesus songs are rambling on in the American wilderness. Just Jesus songs are rambling on in the American wilderness. You know it's true, I swear it's true, with you I'd love to roam. But I forget to mention my 5 years left at home. Her eyes grew wide, her blood did race to a dagger from her dress. It seems that I must end the days of the one I love the best. She stabbed him once, she stabbed him twice, she stabbed him more than 8. He fell upon the weeping earth, she waited on her fate. And the bugle called, and his brothers came, and he took his life away. They dragged her to the courthouse to wait her judgment day. Laid down my gun, the long day was done, I was looking to light my load. Stopped rolling dice, I learned to think twice, I'd said goodbye to the road. Wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you. When you came into view, it was all I could do to stand up and open the gate. Something I would find would do things to my mind, would give a resistance to my fate. Wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you. With the sun on your skin, you smile, let me in, I put my hat on the back of the door. Your eyes catch your fire like a lighter on the wire, couldn't help but come to put more wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you. You're a poet, you're a lover, you're an angel undercover, you're the best thing that happened to me. There's nothing that is fake, there's no one on the take, you're the fruit from the medical tree. Wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you, wrapped up in you. Whisper in my ear, there is nothing there to fear, just surrender to a night of bliss. Rolling and tumbling into heaven, I'm tumbling, I'd never do a lover like this. Wrapped up in you, 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 wrapped up in you. Thank you very much. Thank you. People always want you to explain where you come. I've drawn more maps of the British Isles travelling around America than anywhere else. And and I don't blame them for being confused. What's the difference between Britain, Great Britain, UK, England, Scotland, Wales? What's the Isle of Man? Where's the Isle of Man fit in, etc. Anyway, we got into talking about surnames, and they were saying, well, where was the name McTavish from? I said, probably Scotland. Jones, that'll be Welsh. O'Neill, could be Scotland or Ireland. And they went through everybody, they could think of. Eventually they said, Bonnie. I said, I don't really know, to be honest, Bonnie. I said, but I do know that's the supposed surname of Billy the Kid. Yeah. So they said, yeah, and that is his great nephew. And pointing to Joe, who was a man in the shop. It was 1908. So that's how I ended up meeting Billy the Kid's great nephew. In that, you believe that, you believe anything, but I did. Small-time dreams and small-time girls ain't never gonna tie me down. I'm heading out to the borderland, to the west coast I am bound. Across this mighty land of ours, right in the sweet sunset. I ain't got that much, but dreams with no regrets. Riding on a dragon's tail, ain't never gonna feel the same. Hitting the curve at 98, heading for a tree of shame. And the dragon flies, and so do I, in the kiss of the morning sun. Stay with you, I cannot do to love you more than anyone. In the hickory store of a one-eyed town down south, red bandana and a sunburned shirt and a grin upon his mouth. Saw him in the hickory store of a one-eyed town down south, red bandana and a sunburned shirt and a grin upon his mouth. She stands in the window of an early morning, very still, looking over ragged rooftops to hedges pushing over fences, the last teasing leaf of fall, to where the tools of garden combat, resting arms on old benches, wait for bugles. Sensing from an impish breeze teasing slow branches, the first belligerent note of spring.
She opens the latch to the thin, chill, aspiring air, knowing safety is not in caution, in holding things close, but in the expansive unfolding of the great trees and clouds and the road to the west, to the mountains, the deserts and the storm, to America, where dreams lie like sleeping sentinels and the moon is hollow. She shivers at the first kiss, falls headlong into the mystery of waking, new-eyed into the kaleidoscope of half-forgotten memory, hears, echoing in suburbia's empty spaces, the purr of the mountain lion, feeling there is no return, only renewal. To a ghost town down the beaten track where a brown-eyed girl is saying, if I find you here you must be lost, but I don't mind you saying, the casino's just an empty shell, the casinos will stop spinning, the sweet lady's going home, the gambler took his winnings, the shadow of a crow, the tumbleweeds alive, hawk is sweeping low on the Interstate 25. Doctor was a skunkserair, he sold our lives forever. They even burned the old church down, threw tombstones in the river. So I drove away from the lonely place, brown eyes winked and waved. Wondered how and in what ways us sinners might be saved. The shadow of a crow, the tumbleweeds alive, hawk is sweeping low on the Interstate 25. The Interstate 25. The Interstate 25, the Interstate 25, the Interstate 25. To tear it up and start anew, find another point of view, steal my heart right back from you. Just give me a taste of sun and fire. The bagels and the vampires said the water boys who ain't spoke yet, the piano man who placed a bet he could not lose his soul with death. Just give me a taste of sun and fire. Silver girl, take me to Cimarron. Silver moon, silver girl, we're 66 to Santa Fe. Mountains high, let's blow away, live to love another day, ride on. Guitar. I took a drink, cause I'm feeling numb. Won't spare a dime for another bum. Laying low and keeping dumb. You give me a taste of something fine. The lazy ridge at the edge of night, side by side in the fading lights. Something crazy, something right. Shall I stop here? Well, I think I might. To give you a taste of something fine. Silver girl, take me to Cimarron. Silver moon, silver girl, from 66 to Santa Fe. Mountains high, let's blow away, live to love another day, right on. Baby, right on. That West Coast song went round the head. Was it dessert to my big white bed? Was it something that I said? Heart is hollow, it's easily led.